as long as we are having the great Final Fantasy debate, which I guess is what this stream has turned into.
Squall is the worst. Sorry, what?
Thank you. That helps set up my next question. Who is your favorite Final Fantasy character and why? I'll go first. And Squall. Squall is not the worst, for one.
No, he's not. He's not even the worst. I was poking at you.
You know what? We're gonna do a best and worst here. We'll wrap back to this conversation here in a minute.
Okay.
Well, you know what? No, I think we've pretty much covered what are the worst Final Fantasy games in our opinions, because everybody seems to be polar opposite. So we're going to talk about our favorite Final Fantasy characters and our least favorite Final Fantasy characters. And I will go with the favorite for being Squall, which again might be blind fanboyism, but to me he was the most relatable character in that you got into his head, you heard the inner dialogue, and you saw how he grew as a character throughout the course of the game.
Yeah.
And that's not something that always appears in RPGs.
No, definitely not.
So to be able to be part of that inner monologue and to be able to almost share space with this character's head, instead of just, like 12, like Vaughn, where you basically have to place yourself in that character in order for it to be appealing. Whereas Squall, he had characteristics.
I need a stun.
On it.
Got it anyway.
But yeah, I agree, actually. Squall is... Now, I have disagreements about the quality of 8 as a whole, but Squall is easily the coolest character in that game. Like, bar none. One of my favorite lines in all of Final Fantasy actually comes from Squall, where he says, "I dreamt I was a moron." And it's partially because I've heard Squall's voice actor in Kingdom Hearts, and I imagine that's the same voice actor that they would have for him if they remade the game. So I imagined it perfectly, like deadpan, "I dreamt I was a moron." It's just like, it's perfect. So yeah, Squall is by far the coolest character in that game, for sure.
I'm glad we can finally agree, at least somewhat, on something.
Also,
we're going
as far
to
as favorites go,
we're going to limit it just a little bit.
No,
listen to me. Listen
radio.
to me. No, listen to me. No, what I'm saying is we're going to limit the choices. Oh shit! To time to drop my clerical. Final Fantasy Heroes only, which is to say characters that you either play or are part of the party that you play.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Then I can still say Laguna's the best character.
Absolutely. And I would have a really hard time arguing with that.
That's a good point.
Can I go?
Right,
Absolutely.
Can Laura answer before she strangles me?
Absolutely. Please go.
I really wanted to strangle you.
I've got this big hand up in the background, and she's stabbing me in the forehead. It will be in a moment.
Auron is the best character.
Okay.
That's it.
That is all. No, and Borg is the worst.
Oh, we're not doing worse anymore.
No, we'll do worst, but we'll wrap back to worst as far as characters go.
Okay, well, I personally love Auron because he has...
I need a stun soon.
I don't know what it is about him, whether it's his general badassness or the fact that he's got such
That didn't
an
work.
interesting backstory, but I just love his character.
Shit.
Yeah, silence doesn't work. It's bullshit.
That is bullshit. It's chirp.
Yeah, alright. So,
I'll be back here taking a power nap if you need me.
Okay.
Alright, I'm awake.
That, and he's the one character who has a giant sword, and I don't think is actually compensated for something.
Alright.
Plus he's
So,
a drinker, which makes him badass immediately.
so
Drink,
he's,
kids.
he's cool, he has a big sword, and he has a big dick. That's your key argument here?
That's awesome!
By all intents and purposes, shouldn't he be your favorite too then?
Well, first of all, in all of the fan art I've seen, Squall still has a giant penis.
Wait, what?
what kind of fan art, not the word fan art loosely, are you talking about?
There's this website called Rule 34. No, just kidding. Anyway,
What's that shit up? I just
Oh,
shoot based
hold
on
on.
his character.
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't not exist.
Look at that.
Hey, you're the one that brought up Aaron's penis size.
I know. But
Do you want to explain yourself?
no.
Oh, so you've got something to hide.
He's just I assume.
Because Orange sure doesn't. Ha ha.
That's why you never see him wear proper pants.
Yeah, it's actually just 3 pant legs.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Josh, favorite Final
Yeah.
Fantasy character and why?
You know that has to be a tie between. I'm gonna fuck up his name. Is it Zidane or Zidane?
It's actually Zidane, which is really weird.
Zidane.
Yeah, right?
And
Because you see the
Titus.
E, and you're like, why is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard his name pronounced correctly or the same more than once.
Yep.
But
They pronounce it
got
pretty
to be tied-
consistently as Zidane and Dissidia, so...
Which, by the way, was another way that you can tell it was a core Final Fantasy game, is if it has
Yeah.
characters that you don't know how the hell to say their name.
Him and Titus, and I don't
It is.
they're cocky dicks, and then they kind of find themselves, and not so much anymore.
How come Josh's volume keeps on going up and down?
Yeah, Josh, figure that out.
Maybe it's just me breathing.
Well, stop breathing and answer the question.
As far as worse, what's the chick, the girl in 9 that wants to eat all the frogs? She's terrible.
Quina?
Quina, yeah, she's terrible.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm not
like
a fan of
Quina.
her either.
How could you,
I don't hate her, I'm just not a fan of her.
She's just so misunderstood. I feel bad for her.
She doesn't even speak words correctly. Like everything that comes out of her mouth is just a jumbled mess.
I do what I want, you have problem.
This is terrible, but she speaks like a retard.
For some reason, I always thought she had the voice of Queen Latifah. Like she was always really sassy, so I thought that's how she sounded.
Girl, I'm gonna eat up them frogs.
I do what I want, you have problem.
And you know, since she wants to eat all the frogs, she's from the South.
Yeah.
Or French.
So she's, shit, what's the word? Cajun. She's Cajun then.
Cajun.
Yes.
Well, then you cannot be Cajun and also have a Queen Latifah voice. Those two
Fuck
things
you!
are horribly incompatible.
I know plenty of black Cajun people.
Well, I'm not saying you can't be black and Cajun. I'm saying you can't be Cajun and have a Queen Latifah voice.
That's a lie.
Let us know in the comments.
Of course, I also just lied about knowing a lot of black Cajun people, but I mean, you know.
I didn't want to put you on blast for that, but I was like, you live in Elko, Nevada.
I know, right?
You
I
don't know
really
any
wanted to
black
do-
people.
I really wanted to. Yeah, there's like 9. There's 9 here. Surprisingly, of 3 different families.
Davy,
Stunned.
favorite character.
This is a tough one. No, this is heroes or people that you can play with, basically. Like all protagonists that are
Yes.
They're playable characters.
or
What-
partyable characters.
Whether
Okay.
they are in your party or whether you play as them, either way.
Okay. My character in 14. No.
Fuck you.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, oh yeah, that badass.
The Warrior of Light.
It's me.
Harrison, I'm surprised. Oh no, she can't play
Play who?
Chocobogalina.
Oh man, that girl.
The girl needs to put on some
The
clothes.
savior of 13.
I feel like I get diabetes every time she starts talking.
I know the feeling. So my favorite character, and this kind of comes back from my subjective bias towards 7,
Mhm.
is actually Tifa Lockhart. And
This goes back
the
to the
re-
cup size, isn't it?
well, actually, the reasoning behind it might get into kind of spoilery territory, but
Okay.
it's actually her
You know what?
kind of
It's almost 2017. If people haven't played 7 yet,
They're gonna
then
remake
they
it
are
for
not
YouTube.
allowed to be concerned about spoilers.
All right,
God,
yeah.
Get the out first.
But it's actually the back then. Okay, maybe it was just the way they were localized, but these characters had a lot of strength of character. There was a lot on the line, and there was a lot at stake personally. And one of the coolest parts about Tifa was that she wasn't just strong enough to, punch a fucking behemoth in the face or go toe-to-toe with something. Hand-to-hand combat, basically, against some of the biggest monsters in the game. It wasn't just that. It was also that she was strong enough to stay with the main character, Cloud, when he was in the midst of what could have been a terminal mental debilitation. And she was willing to basically go to hell and back to bring him back. And I thought that was really cool. And her commitment to him was one of the, like, whether it was romantic or a just friend situation, like just plain loyalty type thing, however people wanted to interpret it, because technically you could take it in several different ways with like the dating minigame and stuff. In spite of all that, the fact that she was basically a pillar of the story and one of the main reasons that they were all able to go on was very endearing about her. I will admit that her outfit was kind of dumb. I didn't like that she had a skirt. She would have been just as sexy if she just wore like spandex shorts for the sake of flexibility in combat.
Some waters going into the FMV era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was quite a notable cutscene in 7 where they're on the airship in the northern crater, right? You know,
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
clearly marketed towards that. That was the lead up.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is they could have just put her in like tight spandex shorts and it would not have lost any appeal. At least to me, anyway. She was a really cool character. She was crazy strong. She was great in combat, and she was, again, for me, sort of like an essential cornerstone of my ideal party. So, not a main character, which is probably unusual for this list, but she was still. If they made a sequel about her, I would more than happily play that.
All right, very interesting choice.
As far as worst characters go, God, I very nearly want to agree with Josh and just be like, oh, I'll just take Josh's. But I think
there's no good. There's no good with her or the redheaded dude.
Oh, I liked Amarant actually. He was pretty cool. He had a neat little side story all on his own. As far as worst characters go, I think I'll actually bite the bullet here and say that I really didn't like Waka at all.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, which is a bummer because I really like John DiMaggio. I like almost the entire body of his work.
Was Wako John DiMaggio?
Waka was John DiMaggio.
I had no idea. That is mind-blowing.
Also, Kamari.
Was he Kamari too?
Yes, he was.
Really? I didn't know that. He was
Man.
great as Kamari. I actually really liked Kamari.
Homeboy gets around.
Right, stack underneath, stack underneath, stack underneath, stack underneath. Kamari, yes.
So Davey likes a 10 character?
Oh yeah, I like plenty of characters in 10. It's see, that's the thing is that when I hate something, we're kind of exaggerating the term hate in pretty much any instance.
True.
But I don't dislike all aspects of 10. It's great as a game, but it just was not a fantastic story to me. Whereas, it's I don't know. I'm not really two-dimensional as far as my likes and dislikes go.
Fair enough.
Like I don't outright hate
Not like
everything
an
about something.
imaginary boyfriend. Daddy issues.
So yeah, what about? Oh wait, did we already do Dirge?
We've not done Dirge yet.
Hey,
Very
before we
I really
cut
thought
this
about
next spot,
favorite-
I'm gonna go take.
Sorry, hold on.
Wait, we got 17 people talking at once. Josh, what?
Pee break.
Okay, go pee break.
Right,
Bye-bye.
okay. I'm gonna go identify some horde then, and probably water the plants.
Okay.
He calls himself a gamer and he doesn't even have a freaking pea cup next to him.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Oh! Oh,
Real
no.
gamers have a catheter.
Real gamers game on the shitter and have a
That's right.
fridge next to it.
That's
where I
why
am
we
right
got
now.
cordless
Cycle
controllers.
of life right there.
Hold on.
But that's okay. We don't need Josh for this debate. What would you say is your favorite and least favorite character, Dirge?
Favorite and not favorite. I've never really sort of been drawn to a particular character. I've always sort of based it on the story as a whole.
What a
What?
cop out.
Yeah, I know. Hey, give me some time. I'll think about it.
Well, all right. You think about it. I will go ahead and answer. Let me Google his name real quick. But in Final Fantasy VI, which again, game that's near and dear to my heart, and probably because it's got, among other things, the biggest lineup of characters in any Final Fantasy game. It has the most playable characters.
True, yeah.
And
Yeah.
almost all of them have so much like depth and personality and uniqueness to them that they all do a great job at standing alone.
I think I know where this is going. I think I know who you're going to say.
Umaro, the abominable snowman-like character that they seem to just tacked on at the very end.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
back, by the way.
Hey, welcome back. Umaro has like no personality. He feels unfinished, really. He feels like a broken character.
Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't feel like that. He literally feels like just something that you picked up and you can put in a slot.
Yeah, like it was a little bit of a sting to the quality of Final Fantasy VI's characters because there wasn't anything to him. Like he was just this big, stupid, ugly beast that you can just, like you said, just plug into your party and go on about your life.
Yeah.
He added absolutely nothing, and I hate him with a passion.
For
Okay.
me, it was, as far as favorites go, it was a toss-up between Tifa and actually Kate Sith, and Kate Sith for very different reasons.
Okay, clarify which Kate Sith.
Kate Sith of 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah. And the reason for that was one of my favorite moments in the game retroactively was his predictions
Mm-hmm.
in when you first see him in Gold Saucer. He says, "What you pursue will be yours, but you will lose something dear." And there was that moment, which alluded to something that none of us saw coming, assuming we hadn't played it years afterwards, and then suddenly had the internet and everyone told us. And then there was the moment where he is in the Temple of the Ancients, and he is recovering the black materia, and he basically sacrifices his life. And it follows up with like a new Kate Sith sort of showing up and joining your party because he's just a toy cat.
Wait, what am I doing?
You need to leave that little area.
Yeah,
and then
this
come
should
back
So I
in.
need to exit or go to the next area?
Exit.
Go to exit. Because me and Davy left, we need to requeue from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah. But his the fact that he like each of these individual cats is controlled to some extent, but for the most part has agency. So the fact that he made that decision and actually had those memories of the journey and was recounting them as he proceeded towards the puzzle room that was basically going to crush him as he solved puzzles, and he was going to be lost forever for the sake of continuing your journey. It was just, it's a surprisingly emotional moment for a character that nobody expected it to come from. So I'm looking forward to seeing that being remade in the next one. Yeah, so it was kind of a toss-up between him and Tifa, but I feel like Tifa leaves the longer-lasting impact among fans than Kate Sith does.
Okay. I can see that. And that's a good argument because a lot of people would be quick to put that character towards the bottom of the list, or possibly some of the most hated characters. Because,
and I could see why.
But you do make a point. The fact that the character sets it up to be hated for it to make that decision and lead to that story. Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a good point.
Yeah, and it's kind of baffling that because he's sort of the same kind of. He's basically a Quina type character. If you're looking at him sort of like offhandedly, you're like, why would I even bring this guy?
Yeah.
Why do I give a shit? But if you actually bring him with you on your quest, he has some remarks that he can make now and then, same as any other character. If you feel like playing, gather together, protect. If you like to play with sort of a gambler's luck-based skills and stuff like that, he's the man for the job. He doesn't have really great attack. He has really decent magic rating, though. So he wasn't bad, but he was very overlooked as a character a lot of the time, and I can understand why. A lot of people would put him again near the bottom of the list, but I, after taking a chance and playing through the whole game with him, I was kind of startled and very sad when I got back to the point where he vanishes from your game, and then they're like, "Oh, well, here's a new one," and all I could think was just like,
"That's a bit of a cop out."
I want my Katesith back, basically, like. Because he shows up and he doesn't just say, "Hey, it's still me, Katesith." He goes, "Hey, I'm Katesith Mark II," and you're just like, "No."
Yeah. Like
it's almost like when they sort of bring in an anime and trying to localize it, and someone's character gets killed off, and the voice actor for that character gets like really heated up, like, "Write him back in. I need this job. Write him back. I don't care how fucking cheap you do it. The fucking kids, they're dumb. They're not gonna notice." Yeah, that's how that moment felt for me.
So I think that was everyone, right? Everybody's been able to voice their favorite, least favorite.
Yep. I think so. Yeah.
Well, I can give that
Dirge still has.
Oh, well, Dirge has been invited like 17 times, and he keeps blowing off the question.
Sure.
Okay, Dirge. Favorite.
Alright, so I've got two characters, unfortunately. So first one, my favorite character is actually Squall again. Right? So,
okay.
And there's a difference because with Squall, you introduce to him and he's just someone that wants to keep to himself, get through school, and become a steed,
job done.
Get a job, move on with life, and just be content, mind his own business, and that sort of thing. And he's been constantly dragged into other situations and had to really slug it out and shoulder so much burden to just keeping on and make people happy. Doesn't like it, doesn't want. If he has a choice, he's kind of the leader that didn't want to be the leader. You know what I'm saying?
A reluctant hero.
But he had no intention or will to actually want to do that. Probably the best examples I can think of is at the end of the assassination attempt, right? Right. To put it short, Irvine totally fucked up, and even though it
fucking Irvine,
totally cost him the mission, and yet he should be upset, should be angry, furious that his teammate has let him down after talking like such fucking hot shit the entire time.
Yeah, he did. It's like, I'm the best there is.
But in the end, he just takes it on, says, "Look, alright, it's fine, just get yourself up." Fucking jumps out the window, steals the nearest card, rams it right into the trap, takes on the sorceress head on, you know?
A person he by no right has any real chance against.
Yeah, and now the lesser known one that I really like is when fucking Sid just hands him leadership of the Lamb. Totally, you know, this is the last thing you want to do. You want your boss to just cower in the corner and say, "You do it, because I can't take this anymore." What the fuck am I supposed to do? And then he suddenly has to lead the Lamb into a garden versus garden duel, having zero experience into how actually this should all work. and it's pretty much his first foray into sort of leading an entire battalion, let alone just a small squadron.
It'd be sort of like if we elected somebody president and then World War II started the same day. And he's just like, oh, it's my first day!
Yeah. Kind of like that, but he doesn't have the excuse of it's my first day because, well, you're the president.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of segues in life, as you will, where I can sort of relate to that. And the other character I really like would have to be Zack Fair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Zack Fair just had the fucking hardest time because he was, he was just minding his business. Hey, I'm a soldier, doing all these cool missions and stuff. And then it gets to the point where your best friends have not only just started fighting each other, they're out to kill each other, and they're going to bring the entire world down with them. And whose side are you supposed to be on? How do you deal with that?
And you really don't know how it's going to end up for him either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess technically you know where it's
Strongest
going to
point,
end, but...
like the story in general with Crisis Core is that anyone who had played 7 knew exactly what was going to go on, right?
Yeah.
But it still managed to have plenty of surprises, plenty of in store. And when it came down to the moment we all knew what was going to happen, it was just that much more heartbreaking, knowing what he had gone through, what he had toiled, all that he had sacrificed, just to come down to that.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of presenting it cinematically, too.
Yeah, and there was also like an excellent use of in-game mechanics to tell the story as well, just to, gloat about Crisis Core a bit more. Crisis Core was the game that was the only game at the time I would have wanted to get a PlayStation Portable for. And if that was the only game I would have ever gotten for the PSP just to play it, it still would have been very worthwhile. It's an excellent game, and they need to bring it on fucking PlayStation Store just so we can at least play that version, please.
I would
I know
not mind an
Sadie's
HD
listening,
remix.
it's got the copyright music going, right? They're obviously muting our tracks, so can they just listen and put that silly little game on there? Thank you. Fantastic.
That's actually one game I would not mind an HD remix of.
And hopefully with 7 getting that HD remix, it only makes sense that one would go hand in hand with it, right?
I'd like to think so. I mean, they're splitting 7 into 2 or 3 60-hour games, so...
I mean, they could just, sort of conglomerate it all into one sort of series.
They
Which
could.
is what I think they do. Because, I mean, obviously there was a lot of story in Crisis Core, like, say, for example, Genesis, which is totally just shoehorned in, and they molded the story around it while drawing a few little sort of open ends from the original game just to make it sound feasible, you know what I mean?
And
But they have the opportunity here of tying in some of the more looser ends of Crisis Core, Dirge of Cerberus, Before Crisis, all that sort of stuff. And make the story much more wholesome. So I am looking forward to it. And to everyone that's sort of worried about whether 7's going to be shit at all, at least we still have the original 7. I mean, that game was kind of good. Only sold like over 10 million copies or something.
Across like 9 different fucking platforms.
Yeah.
Man, that was dirty playing 7 on the PSP when you could do that. That was just,
Yeah.
that was almost pornographic.
I remember when I could first do that, and I was like, oh my god, this and Parasite Eve? Ah, you spoil me.
So here's the thing, though. Like, we talked about Laguna and Final Fantasy VIII earlier. They can include the entirety of Crisis Core in Final Fantasy VIII. Or, sorry, Final Fantasy VII's remake. And have it take place via these flashback episodes or via these almost out-of-world episodes. And they could tie it all together, There's a wide variety of options if they have the dedication to put it all together.
I really wouldn't mind if they told the story in order. If they told it, like, technically you're playing the first half as Zack and the second half as Cloud. Same skills, same everything. So I wouldn't altogether mind if they told it more in order and you actually just sort of transferred characters as a narrative device.
As long as people don't start whinging about it like they did with Metal Gear Solid 2. Right?
Yeah. I thought I was coming into the game to play Solid Snake, not to sneak around as a different person. Shut up, Solid Snake's still in there. Bitches.
Dirge, least favorite character.
Oh, okay.
Pick the,
He's like Davy's character.
Alright.
Choose the
Vanille.
baby you hate the most.
Why do I need to explain myself? Vanille is terrible.
Okay, alright. He wins.
This is the Australian talking. What actually annoys me is, okay, we have what's called a Hollywood Australian accent, where you just begin like, oh yeah, that's totally like put on. Now, Vanille had this, and that's not why a character's terrible. But they managed to get Fang right. Like, Fang, that's a proper Australian accent. And it probably also helps that Fang's actually a decent character.
And it's pretty hot.
And is pretty hot.
Also, she bitch slaps Lightning at one point, and I was just like, ah! I whistled and clapped. I was like, ah, points to Fang!
Don't stand on the track. Yeah, so the monsters definitely aren't a cakewalk anymore.
Yeah, but that's all the more reason for us to level up.
Indeed.
Well, it's going to get to the point where we're going to stop leveling up. And we'll start, like, just ignoring monsters because they're going to be a waste of our time.
I would like to say, though, that Vanille surprisingly got I was going to say a lot more endearing, but
No.
I guess that would actually mean that she suddenly became endearing. In Final Fantasy XIII, Lightning Returns.
Right? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
I'll concede that point because her character did definitely improve. Because she wasn't so fucking intolerable. Mainly because she was there a whole lot.
but it was just kind of weird because I also hated Vanille in 13. When she showed up in 13-2, I thought the best part about her was that she wasn't there for more than a minute. It was very pleasing.
So clearly an improvement to our character in 13.2. Excellent job, Square Enix.
Yeah, really optimized the Vanille to not Vanille ratio. But in Lightning Returns, she was actually really. I feel like that's an overlooked gem. 13 Lightning Returns is really good, in my opinion.
But I mean, you could easily say that Lightning Returns was an excellent way to sort of round out the rest of the story.
Yeah, especially if you had a hard time fucking getting through the story in 13.
Well, I enjoyed 13.
Yeah, well, we're all entitled and wrong.
Mind you, you cannot say without a doubt that Final Fantasy VIII improved as soon as 13 came out.
True.